nothing left to do, my love. And if you're feeling bored, I know you know the cure. You know the cure. Let's go on an adventure, bop, bop, shoot, bop, 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 yeah. Let's go on it forever. Let's go on an adventure, bop, bop, shoot, bop, 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 yeah. Let's go on it together. Let's go on an adventure.
What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Musical Chairs of Massachusetts. As always, we're coming at you from the Chair City of Gardner, Mass., where we feature and we spotlight local musicians of all genres from all over New England. And I am joined here today by my fabulous guest co-host, the internationally touring Black Rose, Seth Newton.
Some finger guns. Haven't done that in probably 10 years, and that's why.
I love it.
Never been that cool.
I give finger guns to people all the time.
That was fun. I liked. It's got. You got the sound effects though, right?
Oh yeah.
I feel like the sound effects make it really cool.
The little pistol. Pew 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 pew.
It depends. It could be like a futuristic laser. Pew 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 pew. Get the frequencies in there.
Oh God!
How you doing, lady? You doing good?
I'm good. It's been a hot minute since we've had you in the studio. Actually, the last time I think we had you in studio was last May?
Yeah, about a year ago, I think. I think it was for the fuck offs, right?
That was.
Oh my God, yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Why did it seems like
longer?
It was so long ago, but also like I feel like that happened not that long ago. I don't know. It feels like that. But that was our 50th episode. Yeah. Yeah.
The big 5-0.
That was a time.
Officially over the hill.
Yeah.
And then we did. We've seen each other a bunch though since then. We're homies in the real world.
Yeah, in IRL.
But our buddy Chris isn't here, so you'll have to put up with me. But Chris is in our thoughts. He's okay, don't worry. But he'll be back.
Yeah. No.
Shout out.
Whoa.
Shout out to Chris.
What was that?
That was my finger guns. Pew pew pew. Getting a little too realistic.
That sounded like a very realistic laser.
See, I'm willing it into existence.
Hey, you know what? The last time you willed something into existence in the studio, you wound up in another country.
True,
so
yeah, I gotta watch out.
or don't watch out. I mean, speaking of, aren't you going back over the pond pretty soon again what, the third tour?
Third official European tour. I've been over there 4 times, and then 3 times officially this will be.
Since you manifested it here.
Yeah, and that's why I always tell everybody, I'm like, hey, you got to come on the show because it's the manifestation station.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other terms. You were calling it something else, I feel like, as well.
I mean, you've referred to it before as like the studio of dreams. It's now, I guess, the official manifestation station.
Yeah.
It's on the wall.
If you film it, they will come.
Yeah, you can. For the people watching on YouTube, it's other direction. It's that cork board right there with all the Post-it notes on it. That's so we're gonna make sure that our guest today also gets their dream written on there. And basically the concept behind that is if whatever comes to life, we're gonna put like a big old gold star on that thing, and let's see how many stars we can accumulate if dreams that have, been spoken out into existence on this show and that have come true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in for a really special show today. I'm very proud to say it's a great friend of mine, and it was just chance. We kind of all worked it out, and they're here today. And you'll be very, very lucky, and it's just he's such, to me, he's a great friend, a great musician, a great person, and I think by the end you'll see why. Yeah,
his story is absolutely incredible. The music is amazing as well. I'm a little biased. It's this genre is right in my wheelhouse.
It's right up your alley. Yeah.
But you guys are in for such a treat. Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite episodes I think we've had so far. Just the all around goodness and wholesomeness of it is great, and I can't thank you enough again for coming on. And yeah, the universe just works in mysterious ways where like I feel like this was meant to happen, the way that it all timeline wise worked out, that you came on, for your good friend, and I always just love sharing a mic with you as well. Yeah. So
I feel like maybe I'm hopefully getting better. So anyone that's been like tuning in for all the episodes, hopefully, I feel like I'm getting smoother at it. Hopefully by now. If not, sorry.
No, you've always had like just a natural vibe behind the mic. I feel like, you're comfortable behind a microphone anyways, just because you're always, gigging out and stuff. But it's nice also to have a musician, chime in and take your experiences and your knowledge and, apply that and just kind of talk shop, I guess, with other musicians. You're
a musician too now. You're writing some songs. Everyone look out, world. She's got some stuff in the works. I don't know if I don't want to say too much. So
yeah. They'll see the light of day someday. But
big things on the rise.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
I think that can be said with not just myself, but with you as well and your music, and then even our guest today. Really, this is just kind of, I think, the tip of the iceberg for what he has out so far and what you're going to hear today. I feel like he's got some huge things on the horizon. So, I feel really great to be able to share this episode, right before that all kind of explodes for him. And, so yeah, I'm excited for you guys to hear this one today. How do you think we should get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Today we are joined by Josh Pearson. From the backroads of Western Massachusetts comes a voice shaped by grit, sound, and sheer determination. Josh is a blind musician, audio producer, and nationally recognized disability advocate whose work lives in the intersection of storytelling and access. With more than 2 decades of live performance experience across the country, Josh crafts songs steeped in classic country, blues, rockabilly, and Americana traditions. His sound blends the spirit of Sun Records and honky tonk with modern production, all recorded and produced independently using accessible technology. His 2024 album, Coming Up From the Mud, is a testament to that ethos, raw, narrative-driven, and deeply human. Beyond music, Josh is the Director of Blindness Services at the Polis Center for Social and Economic Development, where he leads initiatives focused on accessibility, employment, and independent living for blind and disabled individuals. His work in assistive technology and disability inclusion has made him a sought-after speaker, trainer, and mentor. He is also a seasoned podcaster and audio producer, known for immersive storytelling and a passion for archival sound. His current work includes producing a podcast exploring the life and legacy of Blaze Foley, alongside efforts to restore and preserve rare recordings. Whether he's on stage, behind the mic, or building pathways for others, Josh Pearson is driven by one goal: expanding access to creativity and proving that powerful stories come from anywhere, if people are given the tools to tell them. Welcome to our studio, Josh.
Thank you very much, Nikki and Seth. This is a real treat and very good to be here with y'all.
Yeah, so we are also joined here today by not Christopher, but the one and only internationally touring Black Rose himself, Seth Newton.
Woohoo! Yeah, buddy.
What's going on, everybody? You're in for a big treat today. Thank you, Nikki, for the introduction, and great introduction to Josh, by the way. It amazes me every time when you do these introductions how you craft this beautiful narrative of every single person. Like, oh my gosh.
Thank you.
This is great. You're in for a real treat, everybody. My good friend Josh is here, and he's got some great songs and great stories and great insight for everybody, I think.
Yeah, I'm super excited to go behind your story and hear some more of your music. We've already gone Facebook Live and heard one of your songs, and I can't wait to get into more because your sound is like my favorite kind of sound for like country music and that twangy bluegrass. So when I first heard your music, I was like, yes, today's going to be great. So
You're too kind. Thank you. Thank you.
So Josh, when did you start getting into music, and what kind of sparked that for you?
Well, it's a bit of a long answer. I will try to keep it as brief as I can. So music has really been in my blood pretty much since infancy, since the cradle. I was born 4.5 months premature. I weighed 1 pound 8 ounces at birth, and my lungs collapsed 6 times. So the pressure from the oxygen that doctors put me on to keep me living caused my retinas to detach. And I went blind as a result of that about 3 weeks after birth. I didn't go home for another 4 months. I had to hit 5 pounds before they'd let me leave the NICU at UMass Memorial in Worcester. And my parents were visiting me in the hospital, but they were, when they weren't able to be there, doctors would say, well, it's helpful for him to hear your voices, since they weren't around during those kind of first real crucial months. So as much as they could, they would tape themselves when they were driving around in the car, so that I could hear their voices. They were singing along to the radio. I still have a tape of theirs in my archives, and there's an Eagles album that it sounds like got some pretty regular play. So I would argue that, kind of that stuff. I had a nurse who, when they'd finish those, the playback of whatever cassettes my parents had been playing, and then this nurse would put in Clancy Brothers and Dubliners albums. So really twangy, kind of heartfelt ballads of rebellion have been in my blood since the very beginning. But I can remember driving around with my parents early on as a kid, always driving around with my dad, and Dad's really into music, and I can remember saying, who's that singer, and what do they mean by what they're saying? And I loved it. I loved learning about all the stories that he would tell me. Blues, the first time that I heard Robert Plant and Led Zeppelin kind of doing, that moaning blues, that, hey, mom, I'm going to make you sweat, going to make you groove. It was like, that's sexy, and I knew that I wanted to be a part of music in some way. I started playing piano when I was a young kid. I inherited a piano from my great-grandmother, and took piano lessons, and did that for a while. I sang in school choruses and things like that. And so song always appealed to me. And then when I was a teenager, I started collecting records, and discovered through the internet a lot of this old twangy honky-tonk and classic hillbilly stuff, all this old country from the 20s through the, say, mid-70s. And then at the time, it was like, well, piano, I wasn't able to get the sounds in my head out that I wanted, so I switched from piano to ukulele when I was in high school. I had a Spanish teacher who wrote a couple of songs and ran a guitar and ukulele club, of which I was one of the only members. And somebody was like, oh, Mr. Mobus plays ukulele. And I went online and saw that this man had a life outside of just teaching us Spanish. And he had a Facebook, not a Facebook, one of those old like live journal pages with some videos of him playing uke. And it was like, wait a minute, he's playing strings and playing some of these old songs that I knew. And went in the next day, and I was like, hey, will you teach me how to do what you do? And he bought me a ukulele, or found it at a flea market or something, and handed me a uke, and I came home with it. And the first song that I learned to play was Jambalaya by Hank Williams.
Love that.
Sort of 2-chord song, C and G.
Yep.
And I sat down in front of my record player, and I started playing that, and it was like, okay, the sounds that I hear in my head, I can do that. I can make those sounds. And it was not too long after that I started writing songs, and started sending demos out to musicians that I was connecting with online, people who were from far off places like Austin, Texas, that were doing the work and keeping the tradition alive. And that's really kind of what got me started. I started open mics, and then, really wrote with the mind of this would be a long game, and it certainly has been, but it's starting to pay off now, finally. So.
Wow, that's a beautiful
I told you long
story.
answer.
No,
I love it. I'm here for it. And honestly, kind of inspiring for me. I just picked up a ukulele myself, and it's like, okay, yeah. And it's been an easy grasp for me so far too. Just, I just learned what I got from Sublime, another 2-chord song. So just knowing that, because I write songs now, and I can use this as a tool to actually like put my words to music, and I can do it myself. It's like cool to know. It's like, okay, that's how you started too. So,
and you can carry it around with you. Like my teacher was telling me when I was taking lessons with him, he's like, it's a shame you can't see, because it's great to have a ukulele in the car. You can just pull it out at stoplights and write a little song.
This sounds like a cool teacher. What was the name?
Mr. Mobus, Gary Mobus.
Nice. I was going to say a shout out to Gary Mobus, right?
yeah, definitely.
And as you all heard with the intro that Nikki did too, and from what Josh just kind of compressed as much as he could into a story, all of those things just kind of are a drop in the ocean of your depth of story and music life and everything. Boy, where do we begin?
Yeah.
Should we do another song yet, or?
Yeah. Do we want to get into our song?
Let's do a ukulele song.
A ukulele song. All
we go.
right. Cool. So yeah, I'm super excited for my ukulele to make its debut on this show, and of all people to debut it. This is awesome.
This is a beautiful instrument. I love the way it feels. This takes me right back. I started on a soprano ukulele, and actually I broke a window when I was learning how to yodel, and I would yodel, these old Hank Williams songs, and would yodel at 5 o'clock in the morning. I had a room in my folks' basement.
You were the rooster.
Yeah, me and the rooster, exactly. Had a room in my folks' basement, and it was like February, and I was writing a song, and I was yodeling, and I knew, I could hit those high notes and hit a yodel, and just my bedroom window shattered. I had to
Wow.
my dad and be like, "Hey, I broke your window," learning how to write songs. So this is actually the song that did the deed. This is called "Take You Back," and this is I kind of modeled this after Farron Young and George Jones and Ray Price and kind of all those classic 50s era Columbia records. And this is where it all started, really. Sweetheart, I know that you've been untrue. Why do I still worship you? You've gone and broken this heart of mine. I know I'll take you back one more time. Each day I tell my friends I'm alright, but Mr. Heartache comes to visit me each night. I don't know why you're still on my mind. I just know I'll take you back one more time. I know you will ruin the life I try to live. You've taken everything that I have to give, and now I don't care if the sun won't shine. I know I'll take you back one more time. to give. And now I don't care if the sun don't shine. I know I'll take you back one more time.
So I've known, all disclaimer open here. I've known Josh for, 15 years now?
15 years.
And I've heard him play countless times as he's heard me play. But today was the first time I've really heard him play some uke blues. That is fantastic. I'm like, the guy never ceases to amaze me and surprise me.
I mean, you don't usually correlate the blues and ukulele together either. You know, you think of more like Island Time, you know, Over the Rainbow, like reggae stuff, not so much bluesy things.
Yeah.
For me, it was a vehicle. It was like, you know, when I was 15, the piano, it wasn't the sound that I heard in my head, especially easily kind of working through chords and things. And my ultimate goal was guitar. But it was like, well, I can start with the ukulele and somebody's willing to teach me everything they know. And then I realized, wait a minute, I can just take this and adapt this. And I've gotten that over the years. People have heard, you know, just a couple chords that I've done on ukulele. On some early demo albums, people were listening, and people are like, "What are you listening to? Delta blues?" And it's like, I realized that it was definitely a way for me to stand out and be unique. When I was first getting started, a lot of people were really kind of taken by that old honky tonk stuff on a ukulele.
It's awesome. That's, like I said, that's such a novelty, new thing for me, at least. I haven't heard that a lot. I'd love to hear a whole album of you doing songs here, you know, some blues songs and that. I got to ask you, so with your songs, you have a few different releases out, correct? You have,
correct. Yep.
How many? 3 or 4 different albums out, something like that?
I've got three releases available publicly. I've been recording myself for years. Started when I was in high school and got a hold of some audio gear, and kind of around the time that I was learning how to do radio and podcasting work, I got into, you know, recording myself with music, and really rough demo tapes, kind of like you just saw there. There was nothing fancy. You know, maybe at the most I had 4 tracks. You know, it was one of those old hard disk recorders, and started really recording myself, first of all, to just get the art form down. And at the time, there was only so far that I could take it, right? So I could only really get to that kind of 4-track demo stage of really just basically your standard acoustic work tape. But it was enough for me to get songs out of my head and in front of people. So I've got 2 really early releases that at the time I made them, I was never really satisfied with the quality, but over years, and as I've grown in my production abilities, now I can look back and smile and be like, it all started when. So there's 2 records out on Bandcamp under JP Pearson, and those would be Midnight Honey, which was recorded between 2009 and 2011. And then I went into the studio around 2015, and in 2 days I cut These Are My Blues. That's the other one. That's a largely guitar-based record. And then took a break from music entirely. Stopped writing, stopped playing, all of it for a couple of years. And then when I came back into it with a batch of songs that I'd kind of slowly been plugging away at, I went into the studio right before and into the pandemic, and I cut this record that became Coming Up From the Mud over a couple of different sessions, working with a few different producers, and found a good studio band to back me up on some of the tracks, and mixed it and had it ready to go. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, this is a real heavy mother of a record. And I don't think the world needs this right now. So I sat on it for a couple of years until the world, you know, had a break in between heavy shit and heavy shit, and then put it out. So put that out in 2024. And that's that was kind of the culmination of really the prior 10 or 15 years of work before that. All of these songs that I'd written, I could kind of cherry pick through 15, 20 years of songs and pull out songs that thematically told a story. So I'm very proud of that record. But I'm also, now that I've been working on the production side and know how to do all of that now, I've got a couple records lined up and ready to go. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And like you said, so you've mostly recorded a lot of these on your own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And produced them and everything.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
I'm actually curious to know more about because I don't know, I'm a nerd and I sit behind this board here. Just kind of your production process and the technology behind it that you're using, and that seems very fascinating to me. I'm sure everyone else would probably like to know too.
Sure. So as I mentioned, kind of when I was first getting started, I hit a limit with the available, at least on the software side, what I could do. So I could really only work with digital, hard disk digital recorders that ran on compact flash cards or SD cards. Zoom recorders. I had a Zoom H2 for a while. I think Midnight Honey was mostly recorded on Zoom H2. Just plunking that down in the middle of whatever room I was in and turning it on and getting that raw take. A little bit of overdub work, but production-wise now, things have exploded in terms of accessibility. So for the past 5 years, I actually just finished up this past winter. I've been taking classes through an organization that is migrating here to Massachusetts, that I'll be doing some work with and helping to introduce into the community and all of that. An organization called IC Music, ISEEMUSIC. And the whole point of this org is to train people who are blind or low vision, and with other disabilities, but primarily blind, low vision folks, in accessible music technology. So the home studio that I have, as a result of kind of taking these classes and going this route now, all of your major DAWs are accessible. And so when I say accessible, I mean they work with a screen reader. So all of your devices nowadays will come with a screen reader. Apple has VoiceOver, and Android has TalkBack. Windows has a number of screen readers, JAWS for Windows, NVDA, and Narrator. And so all of your major DAWs, because of some work by some very, very astute and persistent blind engineers, they've worked with all of these DAWs to make them accessible for these screen readers. So Ableton now is fully accessible.
Wow.
I prefer to work in Logic. I'm teaching myself Ableton. But
it's a difficult program from what I've experienced.
All of your major DAWs. So Pro Tools is accessible, Reaper. I like Logic because of a lot of the user patches, and compositionally it's really easy to go from a work tape, especially now that I can have it read my chords and things. I can really quickly throw in bass parts and stuff like that. So it makes the composition easier. All of your major plugins are accessible, so I'm a big fan of working with Isotope and Waves plugins. Basically, what I'm trying to go for in my production ethos is paying homage to all of these sounds on these records that made me want to get into this in the first place. Everything from 78 RPM records, so stuff by Blind Willie McTell, who was a huge influence when I was first getting started. Hank Williams, kind of everything pre-World War II would have been 78 RPM records. And then I'm also trying to go for that real polished mid-century Nashville sound. So a lot of fiddle, a lot of steel.
Sun Records kind of stuff.
Yeah, Sun Records. Sun Records actually is a big part of it, especially for the bluesier stuff, really working with a lot of slapback delay and tape echo. You'll hear a little bit of that on the record that I put out a few years ago, but these records that I'm getting ready to drop within the next 6 months to a year, is loaded with all of that stuff. So from a production standpoint, I can work with MIDI now. So compositionally, I'm able to add in everything that I need to. It's actually forced me to come back to instruments that I walked away from. Like I mentioned, when I was first getting started, I started on piano, and then walked away from it. And now that I can work with piano and have a MIDI controller, I work with the complete control system from Native Instruments. All of that is accessible. So anytime I touch any of the knobs on that keyboard to change the sound, either pull up a synth or pull up a fiddle or a steel guitar, or I'm starting to get into sampling now. So like I've made instruments out of all sorts of sounds, me clacking my teeth and water glasses and whiskey bottles.
That
and
is
all
cool.
kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
it's awesome.
So, it's accessible and it works, and it's given myself and a lot of other creators a way in to this industry to be able to earn income off of production the same way as anybody else, and perform in any studio setting. Like, whatever you're running there, I could probably make it work at this point, which 10, 15 years ago, that was not the case. So it's opened a million doors.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
I've told you before, but I feel like to me personally, you're such an inspiration, because anyone that thinks they can't do something like, on their own like this, we record our own albums and everything, but it's just, there's the opportunity and the options are endless. You really, and Nikki knows now too, because you've also been working on your own stuff and in the studio and everything, and
Yep.
it's there's no reason not to do it, right, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can, there's a way. If there's a will, there's a way, for sure.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And in terms of even like you just mentioned, you could probably get behind my production board here. Are there any modified production equipment or anything that you use as well to help assist with that, or is it mostly all just like the screen read stuff?
Most of it's the screen reader stuff, because all of your major developers have built in screen reader accessibility into the framework. When I was doing radio, I had labeled the board. I was on college radio for about 5 years on WMUA 91.1 FM out in Amherst, and I had Braille labels on the board at that point. But after a while, I memorized the faders and what I needed to do to queue up records and answer the phones, and so I engineered my own show. I have a fairly quick memory for kind of especially new hardware. If I can memorize what fader something is, okay, count over 5 faders, and I know that's the pot for the record player, and the next one over is the CD player. So a lot of it is memorization, and that's what it used to have to be, was like, especially some of these older recorders that I started on that were not screen reader accessible. It was, okay, I want to put a limiter on this. I have to remember that I have to push the menu button and then count over 5 clicks to get into this other menu, and then up 6 clicks, and if you didn't count right, then you got, I've wiped whole cards
my
by
gosh.
accident, all kinds of things. So it's a lot easier now that things are accessible.
So this is a true definition of adapting and overcoming, for sure.
Yeah.
Trial by fire, right?
Yep.
Is there a song maybe you'd like to play on either piano or guitar now to give us an insight into maybe one of your other albums there?
Sure.
Up from the Mud, or a
I'll
different one?
switch to guitar.
Sure.
All right, so now we have you all set up with that beautiful Martin guitar.
Thank you.
I love Martins, so I have a little bit of guitar envy right now. It's like the Cadillac of guitars. So what song are you going to be performing for us now?
This is a song that is really near and dear to my heart. This is called Early Morning, and this took me about 10 years to write. I started it in the middle of a diner one day, and just it's gone through 8 million iterations before it landed on a record. But this has started to mean something to a lot of people, and this is definitely different than kind of the honky-tonky stuff. When I was maybe 18, I discovered Townes Van Zandt and Blaze Foley and John Prine and Guy Clark.
I love all of them.
All these writers that really know how to tell a story. And that sort of started this. So it's called Early Morning. It's another early morning after one more long, lonely night chasing shadows. I've been laying here for hours wondering why it is I can't let the past go. Visions come unbidden from the walls I keep fenced deep within my mind. Love goes bad, thoughts drive me mad. I know that this won't be the only time. Won't you walk into some diner where some jukebox moans out some half-forgotten love song? I'm sitting in the corner just hoping that you'd show before too long. And the four walls of my lonely room, sometimes like a cold dark tomb, they show me all the sorrows that I've seen. So I go out on the town, see who I find hanging around, and wonder what they seek to bring. I can, never had a reason to stay. I'm tired of being so alone. When will I be able to go home? So now I'm here beside her in the morning, in the sunlight. Got my arms around her and I know that things are gonna be alright. If I scream my sorrow to the night, would it laugh with its delight and hurt me? Hope she sees I'm doing the best I can to break and bend before the time comes when she deserts me. Forgive me if my heart is hard, worn and torn, battle scarred. Wait for time to wash the blood away. Don't you think best I can. Never had a reason to stay. I'm tired of being so alone. All in these streets like a ghost. When will I be able to go home? Whoa, 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 It's another early morning after one more lonely night chasing shadows. Woo!
That was beautiful.
If that doesn't do it, I don't know what will.
Seriously.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, quick to just check on that. There's a version of that song recorded on which album is
There
it?
is. Yes, that's on Coming Up From the Mud. It's track 8 on Coming Up From the Mud.
Amazing.
Yes. All right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, Seth, you kind of briefly mentioned that you have known Josh now for about 15 years. I'd love to know the backstory. How did you? Oh boy, they're laughing. I would just love to know the story. How did you guys meet?
Well, you want to take it first, Josh? It's great. It's a great signifier when we both start laughing our butts off when someone asks.
So I was in college. I went to college out in Amherst at UMass, and I was hanging out with this gal over spring break in 2014 or so, and she said, "Hey, do you want to come to this party?" And I really, at that time in my life, parties bored me. I wasn't really a partier, and so pretty typical for what happened with me at that time when I would go to parties. She showed me where a chair was and handed me a beer and disappeared off into the depths of this party. And I didn't have a dog, or at that time I wasn't wearing dark glasses. I've since adopted the glasses as a signifier of my blindness because the public understands it. But at that time, I was loud and proud about my disability, man. And I'm like, I got nothing to hide. People can look me dead in these eyes, and so I was hanging out at this party, and I was sitting back in a chair, had my head back, kind of like this here, sitting back. When people walk into this house, I was the first thing they saw when they walked in the door. And I was sitting back like this with a beer in my hand.
Well, it's like Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, right? And I was just soaking it all in, right? And this guy comes over, and he goes, "Hey." And I don't respond.
Oh, God.
Because I didn't know who he was talking to, right? Because, you could have been saying hey to anybody. So I just kind of let the party happen around me. He goes, "Hey." And I'm going to pass it off to you to finish the story.
Okay. So, I'll do a little precursor about why I was there. I was there with some friends. They go, "Hey," I was having a bad day, and they go, "Hey, come to this party with us in Amherst." Okay, whatever. So we walk into this party, and as Josh said, I walk in. The first thing I see is this guy just set up right next to the door, head back, eyes closed. And I go, "Oh, wow, this people are going pretty hard right now." I'm like, all right, we're late to the party here, apparently. So I go, in the back of my head, I go, I got to check on that guy at some point. It's something about it. I don't know if it was obviously must have been fate at this point, but I'm walking into the party. I'm like, in the back of my head, though, I'm like, all right, at some point I should check on that guy. So I'm walking around for a while, and then I go, all right, I think I'm going to go talk to that guy and just kind of make sure he's all right. So I walk over to him, And as he says, he's kind of just still and look, I couldn't tell if he was sleeping or passed out or just chilling. So I go, hey, brother, what's going on? Nothing. I go, hey, buddy. And finally he sits up and goes, well, hey, and I how you doing? And I go, oh, I'm good, man. How are you doing? He goes, I'm good. And oh, all right, man. Just was, are you enjoying the party or something like that? I go, yeah, doing fine. I go, okay, man. Well,
at any point, did you know he was blind?
No, I had no idea. His eyes are closed. To my full disclosure, I hadn't met a lot of non-sighted people at that point in my life. And so I go, well, are you sure you're doing all right, buddy? He goes, yeah, I'm doing just fine, man. I could tell you starting to be like, what's the deal with this guy? But I'm like, looking at him like the guy's got his eyes closed when he's talking to me. I'm like, what's going on here? And so I go, well, because you look really fucked up. And he goes, do you want to take it or do you want me to?
Yeah, it clicked in my head, He's like, hey, do you want some water?
That's what
You doing okay? I'm like, all right. He goes, you look real fucked up, man. And it clicks because my cane was under my chair, and I'm like, oh, all right. He has no fucking clue.
This poor son of a bitch.
This bastard has no idea, right? So it clicks, and I'm like, nah, man, I'm just really fucking blind. and that started this beautiful 10-year friendship. And it was, you talk about fate, almost at that exact moment, the gal that I was there with comes over and she's like, hey, I brought your guitar. And you're like, you play guitar, brother? And I'm like, yeah. You play guitar? And you're like, yeah. And a bottle of whiskey materialized from somewhere. And we just sat together and nose to nose the whole rest of the night and played each other's songs and cried and
that's beautiful.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, the line, I cringe and laugh and feel lovingly about this story because for me, it's obviously quite embarrassing because he goes, no, man, I'm just really blind. Leave, get off me. And I was like, instantly my mind's I'm eviscerated by his
I'm not really drunk. I'm just really blind.
What a jerk I am. What an idiot. Yeah. But then, like he said, that was the makings of us just kind of hanging out the whole rest of the night. And then decades after that.
What got me wasn't that night, but it was the next day or the day after that, right? Because I've been to a handful of parties prior to that and met hundreds of people, over the course of single nights, right? And made what I felt were meaningful connections. And I'm like, something felt real cool about meeting you, and I'm like, I wonder if I'm ever going to see that guy again. That was neat. He had some good songs. He made me cry. That was really good. That was good. And a day or two afterwards, you called me, and you're like, hi, Mr. Pearson. This is Seth Newton. I wonder what you're doing this evening. Would you like to hang out? He's like, yeah, let's hang. And that just kind of started it. We started hanging, and eventually became roommates for a hot minute, and
Yeah, many nights, as you said, spent together just playing songs to each other with a bottle of whiskey and making each other cry and having a great time.
Laughing and crying.
Oh, yeah, laughing,
talking
crying.
about life and
just
the human condition.
Yeah, everything. Fantastic, brought us together for sure.
Yeah.
I will say, so for everyone out there, and even for myself, I would love to know what generally inspires you to write your songs. What kind of stuff has inspired you? Specifically certain instances, or hearing a certain phrase, or
sometimes it depends on the song. Sometimes there's a phrase in my head, either musical or lyrical, that I can't get out of my head, and then I have to kind of chase that and run with it. My writing dried up for a while, and I thought it was never coming back. And then I had to relearn, and part of that rediscovery of my writing came when I started jumping into this production stuff and learning that. Usually it will start with a feeling really deep inside of me. And it's like, okay, I have something to say about usually it's a situation that I'm in, whether that's, writing about experiences of people that I know and trying to write from their perspective. A lot of what I write comes from the first person perspective and from my life directly. A lot of these songs on Coming Up From the Mud were written during a 2 to 3 year period when I was kind of first getting into my career, realizing that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and I had to be really careful about how I expressed a lot of what I was experiencing, because I found myself in a position career-wise where I had a fair amount of power in terms of where I was working, teaching people assistive technology, but I was running up against a fair amount of bureaucracy in trying to get funding and get the university that I was working at to understand that disability is a valid identity, that we do belong in the spaces that we belong in. The same as anybody else, we have a right to exist in the world and to do so comfortably. And a lot of my writing comes from experiencing either kind of heartache or loss, or generally dealing with ableism and discrimination. And especially on this record, my way of dealing with being under that kind of constant ableism and discrimination, while at the same time being praised for my leadership skills, it was very discombobulating. I went through a bit of an identity crisis. I didn't know who I was supposed to be. I knew that I couldn't talk about a lot of it publicly because I would risk my career, and I would risk taking resources away from other people who needed them. If I wasn't there to train people, the resources weren't there and people wouldn't get trained. So while I was navigating some battles with alcohol and the real deep depression and kind of navigating a lot of those real deep existential questions, is kind of when I found my way back into writing as a way of coping with that. And so a lot of the songs on that record come out of needing to express that to people, to say like, hey, y'all think I'm okay because on the surface I look okay. I look like I'm the life of the party and I'm having a great time, but there's something that is not gelling too well. And I needed a way to say that where it wouldn't hurt my career and it wouldn't hurt other people beneath me, so that they wouldn't lose out on resources. And so that's where that record comes from. Yeah,
complex situation for sure.
So do you have any advice for, just musicians starting out, just in general, and then even, other people out there that, just to be inspirational, I guess? I know we said it before, and Seth said it also, like, there's nothing you can't do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that goes, there's way more to just, you can do anything you put your mind to, you know what I mean?
Inspiration is such a loaded word, right? Because when that word is thrown around, especially in the context of people with disabilities, I always counter with, well, what do you feel like you're being inspired by, right? And I challenge this in people all the time, because I have people who will walk up to me and, I'll be at a gig and they're like, oh my God, if I lost my sight, I couldn't be out here doing this. And it's like,
yes, you can.
You probably could. I do it. You know what I mean? Like, and I think the biggest advice that I would have for musicians who are just starting out is take advantage of whatever tools are at your disposal. When I was first starting out, it was learning how to write, and the demos that I was getting, they were not what I heard in my head. And I was like, well, I'm just never going to get there. You know what I mean? I know what I hear in my head. I know what this song wants to be. And I would put a work tape down, and it was, I still heard the sound in my head, and being able to say, okay, this is not where I want it to be right now. But if I keep plugging away at it and I keep networking, and in a lot of ways, like, I'm having to take my own advice all over again now. I I took some time away, as I mentioned. I kind of quit writing, and then I came back into it in the middle of the pandemic. And it's taken me a few years to learn all of this production stuff so that I can do a lot more of it on my own and economically make records in a way that makes sense. But getting the business side in order and now actually getting out and starting to tour again after a long time away, take the tools that you have available to you. We have more tools and more ways to get in front of people now, even if it's just plugging in your phone and doing a live stream on TikTok.
Sure.
And take that and run with it. And if you have a drive inside of you, what I've learned over the years is put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Even if you think it's silly or, and I've done it in 1,000 different ways. A big influence on my writing is a gentleman who went by the stage name Blaze Foley, who was an outlaw country singer in the 80s. I discovered him when I was first getting into records in high school, and his widow wrote a book called Living in the Woods in a Tree. Her name is Sybil Rosen, and I wanted a copy of that book. I am also on the autism spectrum, and music is kind of how that manifests for me. So when I get hooked onto something and obsessed with it, I need to know everything about that thing, right? And
you go down the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah. And Blaze Foley, I've taken to the ultimate there. He was the first musician that when I started playing guitar, I could visualize when I listened to his records. I'm like, I know exactly what that man's hands are doing, and I'm pretty sure I can do the same thing with my hands. And so I wrote his wife a letter, and I said, his widow a letter, and said, I'm blind, and I would love to get a copy of your book in Braille. And we worked it out where she had an electronic copy of it, and I read it and soaked it up, and I was like, cool. Thank you for the book. I have 8 million questions that I didn't answer in that book. And she very graciously took the time to answer that letter.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We've cultivated this gorgeous friendship that now has resulted in me. I've come into inheritance of one of his guitars.
Wow.
And I have a handful of unfinished songs of his that I'm working at finishing up, as well as kind of the last of the tapes that are available on him that have not been put out into the world. It's kind of my task to help steward them into the limelight, get them all cleaned up and ready for production. And
wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
All right. As Seth is my witness here, I actually have goosebumps right now.
I got some too again.
Wow.
I already knew, but it's like, it's so, wow. I mean,
that's incredible.
It is. And it's, I have a really good friend that I've met who was a guitar player with me in Western Mass for about a year and a half. We played all kinds of places together and wound up on this beautiful, beautiful cross-country road trip and doing all sorts of things, playing music all over the country. And, when I first met him, that was kind of the connection that drew us together was Blaze Foley's music. And I was like, hey, I've got all these old tapes and things. And a big part of our friendship was him kind of marveling at the fact that, that this had just happened, and we've spoken about this for years, my friend Joe and I, about, just put yourself out there, put yourself out there no matter how ridiculous it might feel. And you're going to be really surprised with, if you are a good human being and your intentions are well and there are no ulterior motives, like getting into this Blaze Foley thing. I've met a handful of people who they're like, you imagine the money you're going to make producing that? It's like, I don't give a shit about the money.
It's not about that. It's about the legacy.
Yeah, you have such a passion for his music and such a respect for him as a person.
As an artist, somebody who, and I'm drawn to people like that. I think because for so long, my story has been trying to figure out, how do I balance my music career with needing to eat and stay relatively sane
What's
in this
that? What's
wild
eating?
and woolly world, and so really just, put yourself out there, and nothing ventured, nothing gained. If I hadn't
Say that all the time.
If I hadn't done that, there's all kinds of opportunities that would have never popped up in my life. And so that's my advice to musicians is if you get plugged into music and it twangs your little heartstrings, however you think you can get into it, take advantage of every tool, of every opportunity. Don't be afraid to ask questions. This is coming into the music community. I have met some of the most accepting, kind-hearted people who are willing to just share their knowledge and help others get a leg up, because we all care about art and we all care about creativity, especially now where machines can replicate at least the sonic part of music. They can't replicate our souls.
No.
And that's a big, you can get an AI to demo your songs all you want, but it's not going to sound.
The emotion isn't there.
Yeah, humanity.
No.
Right.
Yeah. Well, bravo. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
That question.
Wow. We do have time for another song. Is there any other songs that you'd like to play for us?
Yeah, I want to do a brand new one, if that's okay. I'll do one on guitar and then switch to piano.
Yeah.
If that's
yeah.
cool. Sure.
Yeah.
Love that.
So this is a new song that I've written in the past year. This is, again, I've mentioned a lot of my songs come from a real deep place inside of me, and my need to communicate that with the world. And it took me a long time to figure out how to do that and feel okay with it, right? And to feel like I'm not bothering anybody by telling you that I feel sad or angry or happy, or it's not an imposition on people to put your emotions out there. And so songwriting, especially when I came back to it, is become a really, really solid source of therapy for me and healing from getting knocked around by life a little bit. This song, over the past year, I've been writing a lot of songs to kind of get ready for a new record. It's just about all written at this point. And this is one I'd like to dedicate it to a very dear friend who sadly has since passed on. A good buddy of mine when I was coming up in the open mic scene in Amherst, my friend Dan, who you know, Seth, me and Dan and you tore up some towns. Yeah. But this is dedicated to Dan Frank, and this is called Lantern in the Fog. There's a lantern in the fog, but I can't tell if it's for me. I've been walking half asleep down roads I cannot see. I prayed and I pretended, but the night just won't let go. It's cold out here and quiet, and I'm older than I know. If you see me drifting, don't pull me to the shore. I don't need saving, I just don't want to hurt no more. If you see me singing, let the melody belong to the ones who never made it and the ones who still hold on. if I just kept moving on. But standing still feels right when you know this road is long. If you see me drifting, don't tell me to be strong. I've carried all this weight so far, now I'm laying it in song. If you see me singing, let the chorus rise and fall. There's a lantern in the fall, still burning very tall. If you see me singing, let the melody belong to the ones who never made it and the ones who still hold on.
That's great. I love that one.
Thank you.
That's the first time hearing that one from you.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a beautiful tribute to your friend for sure. I mean, wow. Now I wish I met your friend.
He was a great
He
dude.
was a
Yeah.
beautiful
Dan.
man.
Yeah.
Very,
great
very
kid.
special person.
We had many. He was alongside us many nights, hanging out, playing songs, and making each other cry and drinking whiskey.
Those are the best nights. So
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
know.
even Seth, we've even had a
We've
couple of
had those
those nights. They really are the best nights.
Guilty as charged.
Yes.
And then you and I have a song
That's
that
true.
we're getting ready to drop.
Yeah, we do.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Are we allowed to tease it?
good?
Yeah, we could do that. For some reason, over the whole time of us knowing each other, we never sat down and officially like wrote a song together or recorded anything together. And finally, recently, we were like, why the hell have we not done that? Let's figure that out. And recently, I was trying to kind of make it a thing to be more open to collaboration. So I really want to try to get some of those set down. So Josh and I finally sat down and worked on some music together. And we have a song that we're going to put out soon. He's doing all the production and mixing it himself and everything. And we wrote and recorded it together. And
Yep. It feels good. It's, over the course of my musical career here, people see the guitar and the harmonica and they instantly, and they say, what do you play? And sometimes usually I'll say country. I want to try to get people to understand that it's good country, and
Yes.
so, it's nothing against Nashville and radio country, but it's,
No.
and I think country it's turning around now to where if you say like independent country, people will, say, oh, like Tyler Childers or Zach Bryan or,
Right.
all Charlie Crockett, all of these kind of modern people. The indie scene is really starting
Oliver
to
Anthony.
grow. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for a while, you'd say country and people thought, oh, Morgan Wallen and, all
That's that poppy country.
Yeah.
pop stuff. So sometimes I would say folk when people would say, what do you play? And then people were like, especially once they saw the blindness thing, they're like, hey, write a protest song. And I knew that if I did it, it would have to come again from like a real strong emotional standpoint. To just write a protest song for the sake of writing a protest song
Right.
is not, it's got to be genuine. And with the world that we find ourselves embroiled in right now, I know at least for me, I've spent a lot of this past year watching it impact the students that I work with and sources of funding, and especially for me, the attacks on DEIA. As disabled folks, we fought for a long time to get the word accessibility included in diversity conversations, and to watch the assault on our language, as well as civil rights that I thought, for the entirety of my life, I've had protections in employment and education as a result of language like inclusion, accessibility, things like that, and to watch those be literally stripped away, and there's been Braille production houses that have closed around the country because AI is flagging words like inclusion, transition, meaning transition from high school to college or employment, all of these things that, if I could just play a guitar and write these old honky-tonk songs, I would gladly do that in a heartbeat. But part of my journey has been understanding that disability is a core part of who I am, and that it can show up in song when it needs to, in a way that really says something. And so, that's where I kind of came into this co-write with, was like the sense of horror that I've been looking at the world over the past year with, and going like, I don't recognize any of this, and it's a level of fear and uncertainty and anger and all of that I've never known, because these rights that have guaranteed me my livelihood and my life are being shaken in ways that I didn't ever think would happen. So, at least from my perspective, I'm eager to hear your thoughts on it, Seth. But just that's where I came into this co-write with, was like, I have to say something, and I can't sit down and be like, they're closing the Braille production houses. You know what I mean? Like, that just feels schlocky to me.
A little too on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, a lot of my writing has been, just in general, I've always kind of written with a lot of metaphors, about existence, about my human experience, about love, loss, everything. And it was rare that I had come out and kind of spoken out politically more directly. But when Josh and we had talked about, finally just kind of putting something together for a while, and there was just so much going on, especially recently. I said, man, we gotta do something. We gotta write something. We gotta say something. We have to, I wanted to make sure that people knew where I was coming from, and what kind of a mindset I was coming from, and what I was seeing. So I think, we talked a little bit about what we both were feeling and seeing, and other people we knew, their experiences that we were catching firsthand, and our own. And so this song is something that we kind of put together, and I'm really happy about it. I'm looking forward to releasing it. And if it's cool, we'll do that. Yeah.
What's it called?
Feet to the Fire.
Feet to the Fire.
I like it. All right, let's. All right, guys. Well, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, you're about to see a camera angle you have never yet seen. I call it the together cam, I guess. I had to get a little creative with it, and I hope you guys like it. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dark in shadows, their secrets lie. Sad and tortured, our people cry. Watching it all get torn apart. Driving fear into liberty's heart. I'm overcome with desire. Watching the flames get higher. It's coming down to the wire. We got to hold their feet to the fire.
We're watching the world come apart at the seams, and they don't give a fuck if they're seeing their schemes. We've suffered their violence for way too long. It's time to stand up and show them we're strong.
overcome with desire, watching the flames get higher. It's coming down to the wire. We got to hold their feet to the fire. Oh, 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 I'm overcome with desire, watching the flames get higher. It's coming down to the wire. We've got to hold their feet to the fire. We've got to hold their feet to the fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something like that.
That was amazing. Wow. Thank you guys so much.
Of course.
Thank you, Josh. So that we've only played that once impromptu at a gig I was doing, and then today, and maybe by the time this airs, actually, we'll hopefully kind of have it pulled together. It's between Josh and I trying to get it all taken care of and doing it on our own. Mostly Josh. I'll give him the credit again. He's been doing a lot of the production and mixing and everything. So fantastic.
And it's. I also have to point out your guitar here, Seth. So, I guess you could say what? We have joint custody of this thing now, right?
Yeah. So this guitar, it's been my backup guitar ever since I got my my Black Rose, which is the one I've been playing all over the country and then now all over the world with. But this guitar, I feel so guilty saying this. It was just sitting in a case in the basement somewhere, and I threw it at Nikki to hang on to for a little while, and she started playing it, and we cleaned it up, and our buddy Jake threw some strings on and everything. Yeah, so we've been doing that, but it's an honor and a pleasure to play it today with my buddy Josh, and with that song. We
Honor to share that song with the world.
Yeah.
And just get people thinking and moving. I mean, protest music, it's, people can look at it as preaching at people, but I think we're all just trying to communicate the human condition in a way that makes sense.
Well, I don't think it came across as preachy at all. I think it got your point across. It beautifully sounding, and I love the tempo of it. I love just the sound of the two guitars together, and your voices just work incredibly together as well.
Well, it's great because we've been friends for so long, but we never sat down and did a song together. But so it's funny. We kind of were like finding the space that both of our styles meet in a way. We're like, all right, how do we do this? Because we're both songwriters, and we're like...
But you have two very different styles.
Yes.
Yeah, you got that honky-tonk kind of country going, but you got more of that rock, going, and I think it's a great fusion that you have there.
It was so funny during the writing process of this, because both of us, throwing ideas around, and then we come up with like 4 chords, start throwing verses out, and both of us, when the time it took us maybe 10 minutes to vomit out a version of this, and we're like, oh wow, keep it simple. You know what I mean? Like, there's no need to overcomplicate it.
Exactly.
That's kind of what I've gone for with the production element of it too. Don't overcomplicate things.
Sure. I don't know. I almost got the feel of you probably know what I'm talking about. Zach Bryan does something in the Orange, but he does a cover where he has the harmonica too.
Yeah.
And I almost kind of got that vibe, that guitar style vibe of that version of it.
Yep.
You could almost marry a harmonica to that.
Oh,
as
there's
well.
harmonica on the record. Yeah.
Josh has got some great production ideas that he's been putting down. We're kind of, that's the phase we're at. We recorded everything, even maybe too many things, and now we're like, all right, well, what do we want in there? There's this amazing banjo that Josh has. It's 100 years old.
Wow.
Or something.
I've got a banjo from 1891.
Oh my goodness.
And that appears on the record.
Yeah.
Blaze Foley's guitar pops in and does a solo here and there. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wow. All right. So this song is really something special, and all, figuratively and, physically as well. So I can't wait to hear the final cut of it.
Thank you for at risk of hijacking Josh's episode. I was like, you just whatever you want to do, man. I was like, we don't have to do the song, but I'm glad you threw it in there, and I'm honored to share this segment with you,
It's
even
an
a little
honor.
bit. Yeah,
You know, it's everything that. Again, you know, our friendship is that gift that keeps on giving.
Sure.
And, it's just another example of that, and being able to, you know, we found a commonality a long time ago in the musical language that we spoke, and now we've started talking that same language as we play and put this song in. And you know, this is kind of the start of, you know, we co-wrote this. We can co-write anything.
Oh,
man,
yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, it's just the beginning.
amazing how quickly and easily it came together for
Lennon
us.
and McCartney, eat your heart out, man.
I love it. So we do have time for one more song, and we do have a
I
piano
would love
sitting
to hop
here.
behind the keys here.
So, and this is technically your first instrument, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So we have Josh behind the ivories now. What song? What's the name of this song?
So this is, I'm going to do a medley here. This is one of my own compositions. This is called "That's All I Can Say," and then I'm going to slide that real tricky into "What's Made Milwaukee Famous" by Jerry Lee Lewis.
Ooh, love it.
Got to get some killer in there, you know. Yeah. All right. It's late in the evening, and I'm all alone. Can't shake this feeling. It's deep in my bones. Wish I could know you, but I don't know myself. Wish I could show you what I've got left. No bread in the basket. The wine is all gone. Would you come if I asked it? Would you walk me on home? Ain't no bunk bed casket at the end of the day. I need you to hear me. That's all I can say. Woke up this morning, wiped the tears from my eyes. I knew you'd be leaving, but I didn't know why. And all that surrounds me are my empty rooms. the echoes of footsteps and memories of you. No bread in the basket, the coffee's all gone. I've run short of loving. I wish you'd come home. Ain't no bunk bed caskets at the end of the day. I need you to hear me. That's all I can say. Well, it's late and she's waiting. Ought to get my ass back home. But every time I start to leave, they play another Seth Newton song. And someone buys another round, and wherever drinks are free. What's made Milwaukee famous has made a fool out of me. Baby's begged me not to go so many times before. She says love and happiness can live behind those swinging doors. Now she's gone, and I'm to blame. Too late, I finally see. What's made Milwaukee famous has made a damn fool out of me. Yeah. Woo. You know, and that's the thing, right? For years, I knew the piano styling I heard on record. I'm like, I walked away from piano for a hot minute and then came back to it. And, you're a musician, and if you work at your craft and it feels good and it sounds good to you, nobody's going to tell you it's wrong,
Right.
You just
Amen.
keep working at it, and your hard work eventually will pay off. I walked away from piano. I didn't have an understanding of theory, carried a guitar on my back for, 15 years, and then came back to it. And, it's still honky-tonk. It's still gut bucket, real simple piano. But this is hillbilly music, man. It doesn't have to be complicated,
Yeah, I mean that's what I think of when I think of honky tonk. I think of like a steel slide guitar, and you have the piano going, and it's nothing classical sounding or anything by any means,
Right.
and that's the beautiful part of it. Like honestly, I could see you. There's a place down in Spicewood, Texas. It's called Pootie's Roadhouse. It's Willie,
Yep.
Willie Nelson's manager's bar,
Wow.
and it is like the definition of a honky tonk, and like. Yeah, I could totally see you just jamming out there, and like we said off camera, you've played the Continental, the infamous Continental Club in Austin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, do you have a venue if you could play anywhere in the world, like a dream venue? Seth Newton loves this question.
It's a good question. I think, classic answer would have to be the Grand Ole Opry, because you can't not. But I think rather than having a bucket list of venues, for me, it's all about emotion. And, whether I'm playing somebody's living room or an incredible, really nice bar. I mean, part of the plans with getting these records out the door is starting to amp up the game. So I've been doing the solo thing for a long time, but I'm ready to put a band together. I've been in touch with some folks that can get the sound that I have on records into a band. Will be called the Bittersweet Drifters.
Nice.
And so really starting to kind of build up the local following and then start to really get into it in terms of touring. There's a question that you had emailed me kind of in preparation for this, and I was mulling it over. A large part of why I do music, and when I walked away from it, part of what got me back into it, when I started playing again, it was largely through open mics and things like that, to get my feet wet again in terms of performing. There was one night a couple of years ago, I was kind of fresh back to the stage, had a handful of new songs, and there's a guy hangs around some of the local haunts in Western Massachusetts. I've seen him for years. Really, really nice dude. And he came up to me. I was standing outside on the porch after the show, and he came up and he said, your music is so healing. And I kind of shrugged it off, and I'm like, yeah, man, your music heals all of us, And I was very grateful that he found it healing. And then what he said next kind of really bowled me over. And I'm still taking time to digest it. And it is pushing me to keep going and doing what I do, because I do believe music touches lives and saves lives. This man said, I was going to go home. He said, my wife just left me. She took, classic country songs. She took the dog, took the truck. I was going to go home and eat a pistol. And I showed up at this open mic, and I didn't know who was going to be on stage, but I heard your music through the walls of this little shitty bar, and I don't want to go home and do that anymore.
Wow.
So that's why I do this. As hard as it can be to put yourself out there into the world. Like, I am not a social media person. Any of you who are looking at my socials after this airs are going to be like, hey, there's not much there. I'm learning how to do the business side of things to really amp up the touring thing and get it to where music is a sustainable income, because I have solid proof now that my music has saved a life. And it doesn't get any more powerful than that.
Wow. Cue those goosebumps again. Oh my. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they're very much here. Wow. That's beautiful, really.
Yeah, that's all we can hope for. Art saves, right?
That's it.
Art brings us together, and
it heals, and it teaches us how to relate to our fellow people, and teaches us about other people. And you can hear a song, language that you don't even know, but you can connect to what the emotion is behind it.
Yeah.
And I think also, like you kind of said earlier too, there's no rules in it.
Right.
So do whatever you want with it that's going to make a difference and an impact in your life and other people's lives.
If you think there's rules in it, you're not having fun.
Yeah, you're not doing it right.
That ain't it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are nearing the end. Thank you again so much for just coming down and sharing your story and playing all these instruments and playing my ukulele and writing a song with Seth. And today has just been so enriching all around. And Seth, thank you again for, stepping in for Chris today. And this has just been amazing. It's like the universe had a plan for this all along. Just like the two of you meeting, it's like, what are the odds? Chris is like, I need this day. And I'm like, I'm going to call Seth.
Yeah, it just so happens to be the day that one of my best friends is playing.
Right. Yeah. I saw what day it was. And then, usually I have you on deck to, fill in. I'm like, let's see if Seth is free. And it all worked out perfectly. So thank you.
As always, thank you. And thanks to Chris for everything you guys do. Cause I'm never going to stop saying it. You guys, what you do here is beautiful and really special. And being such big advocates, graciously with your own time, blood, sweat, tears, helping spread local music and get people's music out there. Like, for all the people that might not have heard of Josh before, it's amazing the people the artists we have in just New England, even just central Massachusetts, central north. And so thank you guys for what you do. I'll never stop thanking you.
I second that. You're giving people a platform who they might not know how to use the tools at their disposal. And I know from getting into this production stuff, a lot of people don't want to do their own production. I didn't for years,
right?
Until I could, but you're giving people a means to be discovered and building a community, and it's a really beautiful thing. And thank you for welcoming me into your family here.
It's honestly our pleasure. Like, for real, it's our pleasure. We love, just the fact that we are fortunate enough to be able to have the means to do this. It'd be selfish of us not to use what we have at our disposal to, do something better for everybody. So, I love doing it. I really do. So, and I've met some really incredible people and had a lot of great opportunities along the way. So it's a full circle, really, truly.
Yeah.
So you said that you're going to start gigging out maybe a little bit more.
Yes.
So do you have anything on the books right now? Or if not, where can the folks find these gigs when they're happening?
So by the time this airs, I think the one gig that I have right now on the books will have passed. I have a gig on April 9th at Luthier's Co-op in East Hampton, Massachusetts, opening for this fine gentleman here.
Oh.
I am ready and willing, as they say in the business. So definitely going to be getting a calendar of gigs together. Nothing else on the books yet, but that's to come. And anybody who would love to have me play, I'll play anywhere, man. I play your house concert, I'll play your bar, I'll play your back porch, I'll play your yard. I don't care.
Anywhere in the world too.
Anywhere.
Not just central or western Mass.
I can have dog, have guitar, will travel.
This guy is as independent as they come.
I love that so much. So where can the folks find your music out there in the world, and how can they connect with you?
Sure. So in terms of music places, I've got 2 early records, Midnight Honey and These Are My Blues, on Bandcamp. Again, they are kind of rough, homespun work tapes, so you know what you're getting into. Very much lo-fi, stuff. And then Coming Up From the Mud is the big one that's available on all of the streaming services. It's COMIN' Up From the Mud. So those are the records that are out in the world. I am recording. I've got the single that Seth and I are going to drop in a couple weeks here. And I've got 2 records that I'm working on. I have a record of originals and also a record by local Massachusetts artists who have inspired me on my way up. So good friends of mine that have songs out there that have not been released or widely released. I'm covering a handful of those to make sure that good songs have life and don't disappear, and pay homage to some really good people who've helped me along my way. So record of originals and then that covers record. That's the plans, and I'll hopefully have one of those out within this next calendar year, finishing up the mixing and production and all of that. So that's all she wrote.
Guys got a lot of hats in the
literally
a lot of pots in the fire.
Yeah. So how can somebody, if they want to book you for anything, how can they reach out to you?
Sure. So you can shoot me an email. My email address is joshuapearson80@gmail.com. JOSHUAPEARSON80@gmail.com. That's the quickest way to get in touch with me. You can also find me through social media. I am on TikTok. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. TikTok is at Ramblin' Blind JP, RAMBLINBLIND as well as Facebook and Instagram and YouTube under the handle Joshua Pearson 80. I will say, for those of you who are trying to reach out via TikTok, that is probably the least accessible platform to get a hold of me, because TikTok for screen reader users is not a very accessible platform. So there are bugs in that, one of which is the message part of TikTok is all but impossible to navigate through with the screen reader. So if you're trying to get a hold of me on socials, Facebook Messenger, going through Facebook or Instagram and going through the messages that way are going to be your easiest bet, or you can email me directly, and I will be happy to either produce stuff for y'all or play gigs or write songs on commission. I do it all.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that said, be sure to be following us. And we are available wherever you stream your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, all of the things. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So make sure you're giving us a like and a follow, or even just share. Not only does it help us and get our podcast out there, but it's also spreading the word for all of these musicians. And with that being said, this has been another episode of the Musical Chairs in Massachusetts. Bye.